I was dumbfounded and I really didn't know what to do. I of course took care of Jack after all, he is my nephew, but I had never anticipated having to not only pay for my own expenses, but those of a growing baby as well. I did my best, but I just couldn't make ends meet, and so I called Stacy. Stacy, you need to come home. I can't afford to take care of your son and pay my own bills.
Oh, for crying out loud. Don't be so stupid and bother me with this. Figure it out.
I've tried, but I'm really struggling here.
I don't care. He's your kid now. I want nothing to do with him. If you need help, give his father a call.
I had always known Stacy was irresponsible, but I never imagined she would just abandon her own child like this. Hi there, my name is Rebecca, and my sister Stacy is so incredibly irresponsible and cruel too. Stacy is 2 years older than me, and about a year ago she started dating a man named Jacob. He was really good for her, and he honestly came across as being a very upstanding and wonderful man. But of course, Stacy cheated on him and the relationship ended, but not before Stacy became pregnant. Of course, she didn't tell Jacob about the child, and later she gave birth to an adorable baby boy that she named Jack. From the moment I saw Jack, I loved him and wanted to spend all my free time playing and caring for him. Sadly, I am unable to have children of my own, and so instead, I wanted to live vicariously through Stacy. After she had recovered from her pregnancy, Stacy dropped a bombshell on me.
So now that the little monster is old enough, I can finally live my dream.
Old enough? He's only a couple months old. And what dream? What do you mean?
Oh, shut up, Rebecca. You know that I've always dreamed of being a movie star, and besides, you love kids, so you can watch Jack for me, right?
What do you mean? What are you gonna do? Stacy was very cagey about what she meant, but a week later I found out. She left in the middle of the night and left behind a note that said that she was heading to Hollywood to become a famous actress and that she was leaving Jack in my custody. I was dumbfounded and I really didn't know what to do. I of course took care of Jack after all, he is my nephew, but I had never anticipated having to not only pay for my own expenses, but those of a growing baby as well. I did my best, but I just couldn't make ends meet, and so I called Stacy. Stacy, you need to come home. I can't afford to take care of your son and pay my own bills.
Oh, for crying out loud. Don't be so stupid and bother me with this. Figure it out.
I've tried, but I'm really struggling here.
I don't care. He's your kid now. I want nothing to do with him. If you need help, give his father a call.
I had always known Stacy was irresponsible, but I never imagined she would just abandon her own child like this. Without any better options, I called up Jacob and begged him to help me with his son. He was floored by the news that he had a son at all, but once I was able to prove that he was indeed the father through a paternity test, he was completely on board with helping me out with him. Jacob gave me money and even volunteered to help take care of Jack as well. It really felt like I was finally getting a handle on things, at least with Jacob's help. As time went on, the three of us began to spend more time together, and I had to admit that I was beginning to fall in love with Jacob, and then one day he confessed that he felt the same way. After that, he moved in, and the three of us became a family. Meanwhile, Stacy was still chasing her dreams in Hollywood and would no longer answer my calls or messages, and on Jacob's suggestion, I contacted a lawyer and asked for them to send paperwork to Stacy for her to legally transfer parental rights over to me. After all, it was looking like she was never coming back, and if I was legally Jack's mother, then it would make life a lot easier, especially with government forms, and for when he went off to school and whatnot. To my surprise, the paperwork came back and Stacy had indeed signed the papers. I was now officially Jack's mother, and I was over the moon with happiness. In the months that followed, Jacob proposed, and within the year, the two of us were married, and that was when we officially became a family. I couldn't imagine my heart being any fuller when I found out that I was pregnant. Knowing that Jack would have a sibling and that Jacob and I would have another child filled me with so much joy. Jacob was just as happy with the news as I was, and we celebrated well into the night. I thought that things would be perfect when during my third trimester, Stacy returned to town. She looked terrible and had changed so much. Her skin was so pale, and she had dark circles under her eyes, and she had lost a lot of weight to a point where she was very underweight. Hey sis, I'm surprised to see you. I thought that you would be a big movie star any day now.
Oh, shut up, you annoying bitch. Listen, I need money. Can I have some to help get me back on my feet?
Well, I don't have much, but I can help out for sure. Yeah. Are you okay?
No, I'm not okay. Hollywood didn't work out. Nobody has any good taste out there.
Oh, I see. It was of course a silly lie. The truth was that Stacy had no talent for acting and no one wanted to hire her. Trying to be a good sister, I gave her what money I could and even offered for her to sleep in the guest room, but she just took the money and left. A few days later, she came back, and when she saw that I was married to Jacob, she went crazy.
What is that loser doing here?
He's not a loser, and he is my husband, and Jack's father too.
You can't be serious?
Well, I am. Jacob and I met shortly after you left and we fell in love.
Whatever. Just give me more money. If you want to shackle yourself down with a loser husband and ugly children, then that is your problem.
I was furious with her, but she was still family, and so I gave her some more money and then went about my day. It was hard trying to focus after what she had said about my family. But the next day, I went out to run some errands, and when I got back home, I saw my sister's car in my driveway. Confused, I gathered up my bags and went inside and found my sister, naked in my kitchen, chasing after Jacob. He looked panicked and was running as quickly as he could away from her.
Stop running. We used to have sex years ago. Why wouldn't you want me now?
Because I love your sister and I hate you.
Neither had noticed me, and so I stepped into the room and tripped my sister, causing her to tumble face first into the counter, which split her lip.
You wretched bitch! Why did you do that?
Because you are trying to sexually assault my husband. I thought you weren't interested in him?
I wasn't. But then I saw him here, and I realized that I wanted him. He's made such a good husband and father, and I got jealous. Plus, he was mine first, so technically, he should belong to me.
Belong to you? He's not a possession. He's a living and feeing person. Now either get out of my house right now or I will force you out.
I would like to see you try. I will find a way to get him to leave you if it's the last thing I do.
That was it. That was the last straw. Before I knew what I was doing, I punched my sister as hard as I could in the face, and then, while she was dazed, I dragged her by the hair outside and threw her out the door. And yes, she was completely naked the entire time. My neighbors were outside and they were laughing at Stacy the entire time. Maybe I should have had some sympathy for her, but after the way she was behaving, I just couldn't. An hour later, I received a call from her begging me to help her bail out of jail. Apparently, someone had called the police and she had been arrested for public indecency. I can't say that she didn't deserve it, and honestly, it made me chuckle when she told me. I then told her that she wouldn't get another penny out of me or Jacob ever again, which made her incredibly angry. She swore and declared that as soon as she got out of jail, that she would come and kill both Jacob and I. I really couldn't believe that this strange woman was my sister. It honestly felt like she had been completely changed. I later found out that a large part of that was due to her getting involved with the wrong kinds of people while she was in Hollywood and getting addicted to drugs. Knowing this, Jacob and I took out restraining orders against her, and within 1 week of being let out of jail, she broke the order and tried to assault Jacob a second time. She was convinced that if he would just sleep with her, that he would leave me and take her back. But instead, he called the police to report her. But by the time they showed up, she had fled the scene. The absolute worst was a week later. Jacob was at work, and I was watching Jack and was busy making us lunch when I heard glass shattering and turned to see Stacy in our home. She had a knife and some rope, and it was clear that she meant me harm. Before I could react, she ran towards Jack, which made my motherly instincts go into overdrive, and I leapt at her and punched her until she stopped moving. Thankfully, she never had a chance to try to use the knife on me, as I attacked her too quickly. But when the police showed up, they found a notebook on her that detailed how she had planned to kidnap Jack and use him to get Jacob to go with her back out to Hollywood. She figured that with a husband and family, that she might have a second shot at becoming a star. It was all very sad and depressing, really. Later in court, the judge took some pity on her, but only a little. If she promised to see a psychiatrist, then he would give her a lesser sentence, but she refused, and so he sentenced her to 12 years in prison for breaking the restraining order, attempted kidnapping of a child, breaking and entering, and for assaulting me. And that is where she has been for the past few years. Jacob and I are debating what to tell Jack when he gets older. Right now, he is too young to understand, and we don't want to confuse him. As for our baby, we ended up having a little girl that we named Elsa. It hasn't been easy, but we have tried our best to put the chaos that Stacy brought into our lives into the past and move on, and I am happy to say that we make quite the loving and happy family. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.